With the fall fast approaching, the winter right behind it, if you live in an area with 4 definable seasons, you should be looking at your next upgrade for your prep. In my opinion, that is a portable solar power station. There's a lot on the market. I'm going to tell you why I glaze EcoFlow so much in this market, and it's probably different than you think. This is my 3-month review of the Delta 2 Max, and I also am going to mention the Delta 2 because I've had this one for well over a year. So they both kind of give you different flavors for things that you may need. The Delta 2, a 1 kilowatt unit. The Delta 2 Max, a 2 kilowatt unit. They're both expandable. I put the specs up on the screen of how much you can expand these out to and all of that good stuff. Let's first jump into the Delta 2 Max. EcoFlow's about to have like their prime fall day, kind of like special going on. They're not sponsoring this video, but I did elect to participate in this campaign. They're not paying me any money because I think these are efficient, and I have power stations from Blue Eddy, from Anchor, from Oops, Ocatel, and probably a couple others that are blanking. And these EcoFlow overall are always my go-to, but these are kind of just like my shop, do-it-all power station. So first we'll talk about the Delta 2. The Delta 2 is a 1 kilowatt station, 1800 watt output is what it can do. It can go up with their X-Boost technology. So if you have something with a compressor that is even more than 1800 watts peak, such as when you first turn on a refrigerator or when you turn on a router for the first time, a router doesn't have a compressor, but something like that. Something that has a compressor that kicks on, these things can boost and even handle that a little bit more. But I like the fact that although these are the kind of their older models because they have been replaced by like the Delta 3 Plus, these still give features that I can't get on the new models. So first off, all the USB ports are in the front. You get a USB-C that does 100 watt output, another USB-C that was 100 watt output. You get 2 fast charging USB-As. I think those are doing 22.5 watts. If I'm wrong, I'll put that on the screen. And then you get 2 regular USB-As because I'm usually charging stuff on there like flashlight, maybe like some of these jump starter devices that I get, and those things normally charge around 18 watts anyhow, so those are normally fine with me. You do get the older screen, but still a pretty good screen on here. It tells you with the input you have going on, how many hours left on the unit. It also lets you know if you're connected to the Wi-Fi, which this unit is, which is why these are my favorite, is because of how God tier the app is. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then the back of the unit is where you get the ports. You get 2 15 amp ports with the grounded plug. You get 4 of kind of like I think they're all 15 amps, but these don't have that additional ground. Then you get the DC port. You still get the barrel plugs, which I'm still glad that EcoFlow is still giving barrel plugs because it's good for YouTubers like me that have stuff that plugs up, like monitors and stuff. But you can also use these for immersion heaters, for your kettles, for electric blankets. If those have plug up options versus taking up your AC ports, guess what? You can use the barrel connectors of those devices and save some ports. And then of course you get the actual barrel port here, or the DC port here, which you can run up to 10 amps for something out of this bad boy just in case you need it. Its own separate on-off feature, its own separate AC feature to turn those on. And then you do have the charging area. So you got the AC input, solar input, and these also give you information about the max, the information they can do for inputting those. And then you get a little port cover that keeps that closed. Expandable on the side. I've never owned the expansion batteries. I do see how those can come in handy, but I'm gonna kind of show you guys a life hack on how you can expand these out a little bit more without going first party. Delta 2 Max is basically the same thing. If we bring this over here, you're basically kind of getting those same features. You're getting the good screen. This one, you're getting 100 watt ports. You're still getting the same, the USB-A features on the front. So they carry that over, but with this one, you get 6 15 amp ports. Of course, you get a higher watt output for this bad boy, and you get 2 solar inputs, so maximize the amount you can take. There's like a fast charge switch back here, so if you want to go from fast charge with the back of the unit. You can use this switch instead of doing it inside the app. I like that. And then both of the units have a reset button for the charging area. You still get the barrel plugs, you still get the DC plug at the bottom. So the Delta 2 Max, the Delta 2, these are my shop go-to units. So I do have units that are in here that are more static. So charging literally plugged up in my cigar humidor, in my fridge. There is a power station over there just keeping those things running. But if that power station dies, I'll be a little butthurt that my humidor went out, that my fridge went out, but I won't be too concerned about it. But running my camera equipment, the large setup I have going on right now is a soon to be released Delta EcoFlow product that I literally only trust EcoFlow products to run anything that has to do with critical items. Podcast stuff, YouTube stuff, work crap. I have a work PC that I can't lose power on in the middle of a work session if I'm on a Teams call or if I am typing up an important document that's not auto saving. These things are always hooked up to that area. So the Delta 2 is what I keep hooked up to my main desk for work. This thing is here at all times, just in case I were to lose power. Then I'm still gonna have connectivity. The Delta 2 Max, this is what runs all my YouTube equipment as well as my Wi-Fi for this area. So even if I lose power, because my internet is fiber, I will still be able to draw internet. And because this is a 2 kilowatt box, this is tons of power to get me through a work day, get me through a work weekend, to be quite frank with you. Even this smaller unit can take care of that overall. So the biggest issue I have with both of these units, the decibel output. So I own the Delta 3 Plus, which is not featured here, but that one is significant. It is quieter than these units. These are the, older tech. So EcoFlow had like a Gen 1 for their power stations, and they had a Gen 2, which these are, which got better batteries, more compact, but they still had the fans. You can hear the fans when these bad boys kick on. Also, the vents for the fans are on the side. I don't know if they intake and output that way or intake and output that way. I don't know. But it does make me cautious about where I put these in the back of a vehicle or here in the man cave. I do like when they suck in air in the front and blow it through the back. I think the last thing I would say for me personally is that with these big of units, I kind of do wish for they would push down a firmware update to give me some of the features that are on the Delta 3 Plus series. For instance, with this unit, I would love if I could tell this unit to turn on and turn off at a certain time. I think that can be done with firmware, and maybe I'll check to make sure that the firmware has not changed. But I would love to, hook this up and turn on my YouTube equipment before I even come out here in the mornings or, whatever. So that's just something to think about. Now, one thing I would say is that the expandable batteries, it does have 2 on the side for this unit, right? So this one has 2 expandable areas on the side, whereas the Delta 2 only has 1. But let's just say you can't afford the expandable batteries or you already have options for you. That is where we kind of come in with this all pond. This is a golf cart battery. The thing about this battery is that this is 38.4 volts at 100 amps. If we do a little bit quick math, 100 amps times 38.4 volts, that means that this thing is a 3.8 kilowatt unit. It's almost 4 kilowatts of storage in this bad boy. What could you do with something like this? Well, you could buy yourself one of these cables here, which allows for you to hook up into any of your solar power stations. Just make sure that this charge voltage can handle what this thing output. So if I plug this into let's go into the Delta 2 Max. Now the thing about this is you want to ensure that this thing can handle the output. So on the Delta 2 Max, it's now charging at 500. It's charging at 500 watts, okay? And I can see here, if I look at the actual unit output for my battery, it's at 13.1 amps. It's running at 40 volts. The temperature of the unit is 86 degrees, and it's currently in the middle of discharging. It's at 99% discharge, so it's discharging right now as we speak. And the thing I like about this is that this unit, you can buy this additional controller. It tells you exactly what's going on with this bad boy, and you can know exactly if there's any issues going on with the battery itself. This is significantly cheaper buying the all pond unit versus getting the expandable batteries from EcoFlow. And I'm always trying to save you guys money when possible. You know, you can even, if you don't want to get the money on a 3 kilowatt unit, you could even find yourself getting something smaller from them. Maybe get like a 12.8 volt, 100 amp unit, which is about about 1 kilowatt, 1.2 kilowatts. I'm now inputting 500 watts into the Delta 2 Max. And I'm doing that with the solar plug in the back. I like this solution because now this really does become quite frankly, this could easily become like a week-long solution for running like a refrigerator. So now you can keep your refrigerators running even longer. Let's say your fridge runs at 100 watts. You have this high efficiency monster. That means that it already, in theory, would be able to run off of this unit for 20 hours. So almost an entire day. But now if you buy this, then in essence, you get almost 4 kilowatts more to run that unit, which almost gets you an additional 40 hours. So this system, together might be able to get you easily through like a 96-hour period, a 4-day weekend, if you're not going in and out the refrigerator. But then you can run other stuff off of it as well. So I like the All Pond solution. Shout out to All Pond for sending this out. They're not sponsoring the video, but I did tell them I wanted to feature them in a power station video because I think that is a viable option. So for these are some great units, great app control, great features. Check the links down below for the best pricing. My opinion is because of where this lines up, you should not be paying more, in my opinion, than like 50 cents a watt hour. The way it's so competitive nowadays that some of these 1 kilowatt units you're getting for like 30 cents a watt hour, that's pretty good stuff. But you definitely should not pay more than 50 cents a watt hour for these 1 kilowatt units. For these 2 kilowatt units, you should not pay more than 65 cents a watt hour, in my opinion. Especially if they're having a sale, you should be closer to like 45 cents a watt hour, something like that. So in essence, this being about a 2 kilowatt unit, I would say comfortably you should be looking to spend 900, maybe if you can in the 800s for this unit right here. If it's just a smoking hot sale, the best I've ever seen the pricing on this is dropped down to $399, which is about 40 cents a watt hour. But if you can get this thing for around like the $400 mark, the $450 mark, you're still spending about 45 cents a watt hour. If it's more than that, then my opinion would be get the newer models, save up and get the newer versions of these, because I wouldn't want to spend more than that on these. But if these are similarly priced to their competitors, I'm telling you, like, the app support on these make it worth it alone. I like the Anchor C100. I also have the Anchor C100 V2, and it's the same app. Like, the unit is better, it's more efficient, it's quieter, but the app is not as dope as EcoFlow's. And that's a big thing for me. And I normally am not a big app guy, but because of the features these are offering, this is one instance where I say you should download and use the app. But I mean, comment down below, what do you think of the Delta 2 series? I believe they're at their twilight. The pricing for their Prime Day, like they have that Prime Fall Day event that they have going on, I think that these are very good units and they're at their twilight. And if you're thinking about getting something like these, especially these units, these may be your last opportunity to get it. I also link up the all pound unit. If you already have a solar power station, these are the most efficient way to expand your solar power station without being trapped and buying the proprietary battery for any of these. I could use this on every single one of my units except for the Blue Eddy. That one doesn't like the cord. But my Dapson, my Ocatel, my Oops, all the shit, they all work with this. But I would love to know what your comments down below. What do you like the most? First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.